couples in our churches that are basically at home, and to use their camera feed to bring them into this conversation. But I'm sure you heard from Glenn and Sandra there, wonderful couple. They're just lovebirds, and they gave us some good tips on how to deal with conflict. We're going to bring another couple, and hopefully this works well this time around to share with us as well. But before we do that, irrespective of whether you're in love or not, and how long you've been married or not, there are potentials for conflict, and conflict can show up in different aspects and different areas. So at this point, I just want to say something for single people, people that are looking to get married. You're not yet married, and you're perhaps maybe in courtship or relationship with someone. Now, here is the deal. If you're always having conflict with the person that you're in a relationship with, or that you're planning to be in a relationship with, you're always quarreling, you're always fighting, you cannot see eye to eye. I mean, you have more fights than fun. That's a huge red flag. It's a huge red flag. So even though we're saying that conflict is normal in relationships, it shouldn't be more than fun, right? So more than the peace, you cannot be fighting all the time and expect that that's going to be a good relationship. So if you're single and you're in a relationship, you're engaged, or you're dating someone, or trying, or looking to be in a relationship with somebody, and every time you talk, every time you come together, there's one conflict or the other, you're arguing about one thing or the other, you're fighting about one thing or the other, I think it's a red flag. It just means that the differences between you are way too big for you to come together as man and wife. So look into that closely, get counsel, sit down with somebody who knows both of you, who can actually counsel the two of you if that's your situation. But a little bit of conflict, a little bit of disagreement here and there is not out of the ordinary. All right, let me see if my technical team people are able to get me my second guest without losing the network. We're going to hear from another couple in our church who've been married for a little bit longer, and they're older, and they're also still loverbirds. They're always kissing me.
Have you seen them before?
Oh yes.
They only tell you about it.
No, yes. I'll tell you. I've seen Sister Queen hold able to get in, or should we just carry on with it?
Kind of a little bit.
All right. Okay. So while we're waiting for them to connect, you think
What else are we supposed to do?
oh boy.
No,
All right.
I can
So
see it.
while we're waiting for them to connect, to
So
work.
what's the room place?
People that cannot just stop holding each other, they always talk bad. you know, who wear their emotions on their sleeves.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'll tell them. Just are they online?
Yeah, they're all right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna talk to another couple. And like I said, this couple, they just love each other. And I told them the wife really loves kissing her man. I hope she's gonna tell us about that. All right.
Yes, that's
Sister
what we'll talk
Queen, can
about.
you hear us?
Yes, we can.
All right, welcome to our Focus on Family Bible Study. It's actually a Bible study, okay? But we're
Yes.
focusing on relationships, and we're going to jump in and ask you a couple of questions. Could you and the Queen and the King, could you tell us, how long you've been married for, and tell us if you've had any conflict, maybe while you were courting, and now that you're married. and just basically tell us how you've been handling that and how you've been resolving that. Now, before we go on, could you flip your phones? It looks like you're probably your portraits. Could you go landscape?
Okay, that's true.
Oh, better. Yeah. So, and I'm going to make you live. So yes, you're on our show. Can you talk to us?
Welcome, Your Royal Highnesses.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
All right,
everybody.
introduce yourself to us and tell us how long you've been married for and what conflicts you've been having or you had and how you resolve them and how you're still resolving them. Or if it's just all kissing, kissing, kissing. All right, go on.
No, you go ahead and.
Yeah, so we've been married now for 9 years. Am I right?
You should know that, sir.
So we've been married for 9 years, and it's been really lovely these 9 years. But of course, it wasn't always it wasn't always as good as it is now from the beginning. Yes. Are we hearing them?
They can hear us.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
we
can hear
can
you.
hear you. Please go on.
You can hear us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, because we're not hearing you and we're not seeing anything, so.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's better. Okay.
Okay, I guess our background is not really the best because it's just making us to appear dark. But anyway, let me say that I'm the queen in this house, and him sitting next to me is the king of our palace. And like he said, we've been married for 9 years, and it's been
Yeah.
a good 9 years.
Yeah.
But like other couples, I guess, in the beginning, you kind of need to get used to each other. And what makes our own relationship a little bit unique is that the king is originally from Nigeria and I'm originally from Zimbabwe. So that's already two cultures right there. And not only
Yeah.
that, by the time we got married, we're both adults. I was set in my own way as a single woman because I got married at 48. So you can imagine all these 48 years. Well, not 48, because the beginning my parents took care of me. From the time I was working, I was living by myself with my daughter. So I was the queen and the king in that castle. At the time that we got married, now I had to incorporate another family um, and learn to live with my husband under his authority and following things again like a mixed culture. There are things that we do differently in my country, which there are subtle differences, but there are still differences. The food is really different, but I do like international food, so that helps in that kind of relationships. So one of the things that was a bit of an issue for me when we got married, or maybe an issue for for both of us, is how to blend our family. And our family was full of adults. There's no baby in our family, and everybody is already set in their ways. And for example, when I first came to the house, at the entrance, there's a carpet, like I guess everybody has a carpet, and there were lots of shoes there. I said, my gosh, is this a shop? This doesn't look good. So I asked everybody, I think we have too many things at the entrance. And of course, everybody protested. They were not happy at all that I'm about to rearrange their lives. So that was the beginning of our conflicts because I need to change things in this house to look a certain manner. And they're used to things in another manner. But yeah, so how to solve this? Anyway, what we did with the issue of the shoes, I asked everybody to pick the shoes they like and take them maybe to another place because we had a big house and there were other places to keep these things. And anything else that was left at the entrance, I was going to give them to charity. So you can imagine how popular I was. So So in the end, anyway, we did a bit of rearranging and all, and I was surprised actually one day when when they came and said, "Wow, things look different and they look good." And let me say another thing that I was just telling the king that makes me happy. We went to Ambi's house. Ambi's married now in Calgary. When we went to her house, the king was taking off his shoes like he does in a house and leaving them everywhere. I said, "No, Dad, you can't just leave them there." But this is exactly what I had been telling them when I joined this family. So conflict is not easy, but you can work at it and it come out with a good solution. At the end of it all, I guess everybody understood that we need to have a bit of order. There hadn't been a mother in a house for a while, but when this mother came, the mother brought too many changes. Okay,
Yeah,
over to you, Kim.
yeah. Of course, one of the issues we had was I mean, we have different styles. It's the same with any couple. Um, I like to have things. I don't like looking for anything in the house. So I like to have things, even like if, something as small as the lip balm I use. I keep it all over the place, so that when I look for them, I grab them. I even carry one in the car. So, but my wife likes to, sometimes even the one in the car, she will remove it. And then when I need a lip balm, I think it's in the car, it's not there. And she doesn't see anything wrong with it. You know? and that's to me, that's like, it can completely change my day, but she doesn't seem to realize it. But with time, I came to live with it, but she also learned that these things can disrupt my day, and I think she's now, I can see for quite some time now, she's beginning to make sure that she keeps things the way I left them, because looking for things are a big deal for me. She accuses me of not finding things in the house, and that's true, because once you move it from where I keep it, the chances I won't see it. Even if it's beside it, I won't see it, because I'm just looking at that point where I kept it. It's not there. Then that the story. So we have learned basically to blend with each other. Um, so I think that has been a very good thing,
Yeah.
and
Okay. So can you still hear me?
Yes,
yeah.
yes, we can,
All
Pastor.
right. So what advice would you give to couples that are having, just like you shared with us, backgrounds, different places where we're coming from, how we were trained, often affects what we want to do and brings conflict into relationships and especially marriages. So can you give any advice to couples that are, whether they're newly married or they've been married for a while and they're having conflicts based on just because of their different preferences? Well, how should they go about resolving such conflicts?
Okay. I would say actually, well, initially we when we boot heads, because every couple we boot heads sometime. When we boot head, we at the initial time we will just not talk to each other. We will just do the silent treatment.
Mm,
Sometimes the silent treatment goes into the night and the following day and the following day, and it wasn't it wasn't helping anybody.
yeah.
So and then we know that our life depends solely on prayer.
Mm.
And if you are doing silent day and silent night,
Mm.
then that means no prayer together. So so we have since resolved that we
Mm,
don't we don't do silent night, and we don't do silent day either.
mm,
We if we have any issue, we have learned to just communicate. Talk to one another, talk to one another, talk to one another. If one person is not responding, the other person keeps talking until the other person responds.
Nice.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
and one
No, that
one of
was
the
cool.
one of the things actually that one of my husband's friends said, which really stuck with both of us. He was in Nigeria and his wife was in Canada, and he wanted them to come together and not stay apart because they're older like us. And so he said to his wife that we are wasting life. So from that time on, when he said that, it actually clicked very deeply with us that you see how old we are. We got together this late in life, and we want to enjoy every moment of it. Let's not waste life. So when we get into this kind of things, we don't do that anymore. At least I'll think to myself that, oh, this is that time again when we are wasting life. We shouldn't be wasting life. We should just enjoy ourselves as much as possible. And of course, Pastor, you mentioned before that actually I love kissing all the time. And each time I'll just kiss my husband, say, my gosh, this Zimbabwean woman, what do you want to do to me? I said, well, why did you marry me? This is the reason why we are married, so I could have somebody I can kiss as long as I like, as much as I like. So now he has gotten used to it, and he will just sit there. Maybe I'll just go. I think this time we'll do 10, and then I'll let you go. And so it has actually so it has kind of become a game between us, and we actually now enjoy it. Before we go to work, like I used to drop him, or when he drops me, we know that at that time we have to have 3 kisses
Your
before the
first
other person leaves. So we really are, enjoying ourselves. And like the king said, the one big thing actually that stops us from continue with all that is the fact that we need to pray together, and even pray individually. When you're angry, it's not really prayer. You're just saying words, at least for us. So that is one thing that really keeps us in check, that we are responsible to God, and we need to communicate with God, and we need to communicate with God together. We may have our separate prayer times, but we really value praying together.
all right. Thank you very much. Can you move your phone a little bit so we can see your faces? And
Okay.
yeah,
I'm not sure what's
that's
happening because
that's
we
what
can't
I'm
even
talking
see
about.
ourselves on the screen.
Are you seeing us now?
Yes, we are seeing you now.
Okay, because we
Good.
were not
Okay,
seeing
All
it
right.
we
before.
also couldn't see you either.
Okay.
No,
That's
that's
looking
fine. We can
that
see you now.
Okay,
okay, that's looking
great.
good.
Good. Thank you very much for calling in, and thank you for sharing with us. We're going to put everything that you said together, and we trust that it will be a blessing to us and to other couples that are listening in, and even to single people that are listening in. God bless you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Amen.
Can you
Amen.
say
Thank
thank you
you
to our
And
too.
thank
panel?
you for having us on the
Thank
program. We
you.
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it.
Enjoyed it.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Just look it. Don't worry. I can just get out of it by doing something else.
It's still
In our church, and they've talked to us about how they are communicating to resolve conflicts, and quite frankly, they've basically taught us everything that we need to hear. And what we're going to do now is just to summarize those points that they've given to us, and they've spoken freely with us. They haven't even heard what we were going to say or what we were going to share, and that's just an encouragement, because everything that we were going to share are the things that they've basically touched up on. So we see that these are universal solutions that would help any couples, any relationship at all. So before we move on, we're actually going to read the scripture that is going to form the basis for our counsel. We're going to read from Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29 to 32, and Ephesians chapter 5, verse 4. I'm going to ask my wife to read. Like I said last week, she's a better reader, and it is true. She's going to read to us those verses of scripture, and then we will just share together before we take your questions.
All right. Ephesians chapter 4, from verse 29 to 32. Don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them.
Yeah.
And do not bring sorrow to God's Holy Spirit by the way you live. Remember, He has identified you as His own, guaranteeing that you will be saved on the day of redemption.
Good.
Get rid of all bitterness, rage, anger, harsh words, and slander, as well as all types of evil behavior. Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God through Christ has forgiven you. Ephesians chapter 5 verse 4. Obscene stories, foolish talk, and coarse jokes, these are not for you. Instead, let there be thankfulness to God.
All right. So we just read from Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29 to 32, and chapter 5, verse 4, giving us the guidelines for how to communicate and how to actually resolve conflicts. So we have a couple of points that we're going to give to you. We will show them on the slides, and you can write down if you're writing. So the very first thing that we need to understand is that conflict can happen due to anything. Conflict can happen due to anything. Conflict will happen because we're different. Every marriage is a marriage of two different people. Male and female, that's a huge difference already. And the two different people coming into the relationship, they are from different backgrounds, they may be from different cultures, they've had different trainings. Those differences would always bring conflict into a relationship. So it is the job of those in the relationship to learn how to avoid those conflicts, or when they happen, how to resolve them. So conflicts happen because every marriage between a man and a woman, as God intended it, is a marriage of opposites. You know, we say that opposites attract, but every marriage as God intended it is a marriage of opposites. It is a male and a female. Those are opposites that are coming together in a relationship. That's why every marriage every couple that is married must understand that we're opposites. As a male, you're opposite to a female, and you may think differently. You may like different things. This is apart from all of the different factors, background, education, preferences, and all of that will come into play. Just the fact that you're a male and she is a female means that there are two different people, two opposites that are getting married. So this is why conflict happen in almost all relationship, because it's a relationship between opposites. You know, you've heard the saying that opposites attract, and it is true for every marriage. You may be actually alike, you may be similar to each other in terms of your preferences, but you're still opposite, because men do things differently from how women would do it. So every relationship, especially marital relationships, will have conflicts. Now what happens is some couples allow the conflicts that they have to destroy their marriage because they don't handle it well. Some relationships, even friendship or courtship, are destroyed because both participants in the relationships do not handle the inevitable conflicts that will come well. So many of us are surprised when we get married that, oh, my wife is not like me. Of course, she will not be like you. She's a woman, you're a man. Or she doesn't like what I like. Of course, she wouldn't like what you like. Or she's not thinking like me. Yes, she will not think like you. You see? So those opposites, God put them together in order that they may strengthen each other, in order that they may complement each other. So we must understand that conflict can happen due to anything, but they are fueled with or by words. Conflict can happen due to anything, but they are fueled by words. Conflicts are fueled by words. The kind of words that we say the way we say them can make a conflict that means really nothing to burn down our relationship, to burn down our marriages, to burn down our houses. So if we can get our words and our communication right, we will be able to resolve conflicts easily before they burn down the house. And that's what Ephesians chapter 4 is really talking about. Ephesians chapter 4 from verse 29 to 32 says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth. Do not let words that are unwholesome come out of your mouth. Do you want to read Ephesians chapter 4 verse 29 and 30 again? And let's just stress a few points there.
Okay. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 29 and 30. Don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. And do not bring sorrow to God's Holy Spirit by the way you live. Remember.
Good.
Okay.
So, Ephesians chapter 4 verse 29 is saying to us, don't let unwholesome talk come out of your mouth. Everything that you would say, let it be something that would help, that would build up. In fact, this is so true for relationships. Many believers, when we read these passages, we're already thinking about outside, our relationship with other people, our relationship in the church. But charity starts from home. This is so true of our homes, of our relationship, that we should not allow unwholesome talk to come out of our mouth. And we should not speak the things that are not helpful. We should not say the things that will not build up. Let's demonstrate a typical, now she doesn't know this, a typical argument that would happen, and how words will fill them, and how words will put fire into the mix and make the house burn down. Can we try? Can we act this?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
We got tired of arguing, so we don't know how to argue anymore.
You know, something as small as, who put that thing there?
No, why did you do that? What was it? No, something happened some days ago and I was telling you that you're just attacking me. What was it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was. I think we've learned the art of letting the thing go quickly. But he just came and said, I can't remember what it was. It was just recently. But you concluded that I had done that thing. Maybe it was a purchase or something. You don't remember?
No, I don't. But
yeah,
anyway,
like some 2 days ago, and I was like, why did you jump into conclusion that I had done it? And I like the way you reacted, because immediately you recoiled, and you know there's a way you can keep insisting that you were right, but you didn't insist that you were right. You quickly said, okay, maybe you just deflected it and said I was trying to. Anyway, I know it didn't fester because. PJ, you remember?
no, I don't.
Okay.
I seriously don't.
I forgot the thing, but I know. I said
Even you that you're remembering, you don't remember. And you're asking me that. Amen. Now, see, the point we're trying to make is that little things that 10 years from now, if they said that was what you thought about, people will be shocked. Okay? Who put that shoe there?
No. Why do you always put that shoe there?
Or something like that.
Yeah, or you always put. I think this is where the problem comes from, when words fuel conflict. When we attack the person rather than the issue, problems arise.
But what about if the issue is there? There is an issue.
Yeah.
We all know there is an issue.
Yeah. For example,
the shoe should not be at the entrance. The queen of the house has said no shoe at the entrance, and the shoes are there. And she's like, why are these shoes right there?
But I like
What
the
should be
example
done?
that Sister Queen gave, because at that instant she helped people to manage the situation instead of it becoming an issue of, you don't want to listen to me. Why do you put your shoes? So it was not an attack against the people she was trying to communicate with.
Yeah.
It was she settled the situation. So I think that rather than seeing your spouse as the enemy and attacking your spouse as the problem, the problem is not the person. The problem is the issue that you're trying to deal with. So you leave your spouse as, I need my spouse for my prayers to be answered. I need my spouse for my life to be complete. Let's solve the problem, and you are not the problem. This situation is a problem. So when we focus on what we are trying to resolve, rather than on us trying to outdo each other in proving our points, we're able to resolve conflicts.
And that's so right. I think here's the point. Many of us, we use our words as weapons against our spouses or whoever we're in a relationship with, instead of in using it to deal with an issue. So, when we're going to speak, many of us, we speak with an intent to hurt the other person that is listening, not with an intent to resolve the problem or the issue. And we do it subconsciously. We do it without even thinking. We say words to pull down the other person, to make them feel something when there is an issue, and then we've left the issue totally untouched. So for example, say toothpaste or car keys. Your car keys are supposed to be there, and then they are not there. Who took the car keys from here? Nobody responds. So you can't hear me, right? You can't hear me, you can't respond. Am I talking to a goat?
Oh my.
You know, you've gone from car keys to attacking the person of your spouse.
Yeah.
That is how, you know, of course, that's a big jump, that's an exaggeration, but that's how
it does happen.
It does happen, absolutely. You know, some people would even leave their spouse and talk about the mother of the spouse and the father and their village, and you know, like, you've gone from the issue of car keys to not being there to using your words as a weapon to attack and to pull down your spouse.
But I really think that there's a basic issue when there is a problem of moving quickly away from the issue to attacking the person. It is some kind of dissonance in the hearts. It is that I have not really accepted you as part of me. Because if that person, if you see that this person is part of me, it will be really hard for you to attack them. I don't know if you see, like, you're still seeing the person as other than you.
Yeah.
That is why you are deriding them and pulling them down. But if you